We've been watching the bullish explosion develop exactly as expected, but since then, Bitcoin has topped out at $65,000. We're now looking at coming back down to support at about 63, which is fantastic news, ladies and gents. I'm going to be talking to you about where I think Bitcoin can be going and a couple of trading opportunities that I'm very interested in this market. So if you're excited for that, do me a favor and smash those likes up. And of course, while you're down there, check out the links to the best exchanges in the game. Bybit's going to give you up to 30K in free trading capital when you start trading using my link down below. And Blowfin will also give you thousands of dollars in bonuses. Always check your country's local laws and regulations before using any of these. But let's talk about this because we have seen everything that we expected on this chart so far, ladies and gents. This is absolutely phenomenal. The biggest thing that I have to ground you with, because most people are losing perspective of important stuff, is that we have still set two higher lows here. And we are still on our way to potentially set another higher high. So the fact that we haven't quite set that higher high yet, to me, is not concerning at all. I'm, very much okay to be a little bit more patient for this market, especially considering how we've moved up, right? I want to put something in perspective for you. From the point that we topped out to the point that we bottomed out, that took about 12 days. From the point that we bottomed out until the point that we hit this top, that took about 18 days over here or about 16 days over here. We're looking at very similar timeframes to move up and down, which is a phenomenal sign of a real correction. Okay, I'm really, really liking that. And what's even better is that now that we've kind of hit this resistance at about $65,000, Bitcoin is spending a lot more time up here this time than it did previously, right? Pay attention to this. Bitcoin previously got up into this range and it only was able to hold here for about 2 days until it ended up dropping. On this occasion here, it's now been 6 days. That's a really significant point of data, in my opinion, ladies and gents, because if you are going to get rejected, a lot of the time that rejection is going to come in quickly. Let me show you some examples. If we take a look at what happened with the market back here, where is my mouse? If we take a look at what happened with the market back here, we had a nice big rejection coming in for Bitcoin, but just look at how quick it was. This is the important thing that I think a lot of people just really never even consider, but this rejection only took 10 hours to come in, right? I mean, on this top over here, this rejection here took about 8 hours or 6 hours. On this top over here, Bitcoin entered this range, but only spent 2 to 3 days here. When you're going to break a level, you are going to get very comfy around these levels. You're going to hang out for a long time and then you're going to end up losing it. But when you're going to get rejected, it's usually pretty quick. So we don't have that rejection yet, which I think is absolutely great news. Now, we also have a lot of support below us as well, which I think is really, really good. We're going to talk about how high I think Bitcoin can go in just a minute. But first, we need to get these baseline things done. It's a little bit boring, but that's why you know it's correct. And so if we take a look at this, we've got, countless support areas below us now. For me, the kind of most critical level is still going to be that $58,000 price level. The reason for that is because this has kind of turned out to be a key level that this market has used to save itself. We also obviously have 53,700, which has actually come in pretty useful here. It's come in clutch for this market, if I say so myself, to be honest, because we've got big bounces coming off this level with a really nice kind of inverse head and shoulders thing, potentially looming here as well. I mean, it's not the clearest inverse head and shoulders ever by any stretch, but what we do have is the typical pattern of, 3 lows where the middle low really penetrates quite deep, but then the next one isn't able to go down that low, which is a very, very strong sign that the bears don't have strength. It's a sign that the bears don't have enough strength to take the market lower. And I think that's why this development right here is so significant on this chart, ladies and gents. I think that is exactly why we're seeing such a significant development here. It is because the bears are not able to send this market back down. And even if they could, 63K is beautiful support. We're holding that pretty well right now. We'll talk a little bit more about these shorter term time frame levels in just a minute. And we've also got support down here at 61. Now, this is actually my favorite zone of support for Bitcoin, and I would love to see Bitcoin coming back down here. You see, the previous couple of times where we fell below $61,000, they were here, here, and here. And on each of these occasions, Bitcoin did not find support at the $61,000 price level, which to me is quite concerning. And if we go down there, I think that would definitely lead a lot of people to think that you were not going to hold this level again. Honestly, this is going to come down to the individual. Different people are going to have different opinions on this, and that's why the market functions as a market. Me personally, I think we actually have a pretty good chance of finding support down at this level. And I'm curious to see if we've got any indicators or tools. I'm doing some blind analysis with you guys today, ladies and gents, but I'm curious to see if we've got any important levels kind of lining up with this. And right here, we've got the Fibonacci 618 down here at 57.2. But we've got the 382 level up here, which is a mirror at 60K flat. And that is the bottom of my red box. So, I really think that there's a lot of potential for Bitcoin to start finding some support down in this $61,000-$62,000 price range. I'm sorry, 61-60K price range. That's exactly where this Fibonacci level lines up. And like I said, this is the most important Fibonacci level that you get other than the 618. But it's a mirror of the 618, so it means the same thing. And I'm just going to change my settings here because this is usually on the left and I prefer it there. It's actually easier to read, isn't it, on the right? Let me know what you think in the comments. I want to know if you guys prefer me keeping it on the right or on the left. But Fibonacci there, absolutely beautiful. If we extend this out a little bit, we're losing significant Fibonacci levels. They're now a little bit lower, but if we also bring this up to the all-time high, so this is the entire market range now, we do have 618 support at 58. So again, just reaffirming exactly what I've been saying. You get strong support at the borders of my lines here, of my boxes, which I'm very, very happy with. I think that's definitely a good sign. If we take a look at this through the lens of some of our momentum indicators, we've got the EMA ribbon providing ample support for Bitcoin right now on the 4-hour time frame, which is great. It's worked out very well for Bitcoin recently, and on the daily time frame, we have tons of support also developing here in this very same $61,000 price range. So lots and lots of data, I think, from different perspectives, all pointing toward this 63K level or that 61K level as being support for Bitcoin, which to me means that Bitcoin's worst case scenario is a really healthy pullback. And that should allow Bitcoin to move up. Like I said, a lot of people are going to have different opinions on this. I think a lot of people are very rightfully going to say, well, hang on a minute. The previous times where we were falling below this level, 61K didn't do shit for Bitcoin, and you would be 100% correct, right? So if that's your train of thought, you're not going to be interested in this. Like I said, I've got my reasons for thinking differently. I think that we've got a beautiful fib level there. I think that we've established now a higher low for the first time, really significantly setting a higher low here. I think that's very important. We're hanging out at resistance for a while, so that's a good sign. Let's take a look at the Ichimoku cloud, and we do have Ichimoku resistance here on the daily, but we've smashed through it, so that's going to start closing relatively soon. And on the 4-hour, this is a bloody massive cloud. So huge support cloud there. By the way, if those of you who are curious about this, who haven't learned how to use this indicator or what it means, you can actually type this into the YouTube search bar. And you'll be able to get my full video on how to get this indicator for free, how to use it, all that beautiful stuff. You can do that right now. And obviously, just a quick reminder, if you are interested in trading these markets where I trade them, then Bybit is going to be the best place to be. Apex is their decentralized exchange. It's like a sister exchange from Bybit. And this is full self-custody, which means your funds never actually leave your wallet. And they don't go to anybody else, which I think is extremely important. Well worth checking this exchange out, ladies and gents. I think that it's going to be the future of crypto trading. And like I said, other phenomenal options. You get huge bonuses on all of them after you start trading. So that's well worth checking out. Again, your country's local regulation is very important. And the reason I think that that's great is because I am seeing huge trading opportunities starting to open up. The first thing I want to do to demonstrate that is actually turn this into a green box here. But I also just want to show you the trade that I'm looking at personally. This lines up with the Ichimoku cloud. It lines up with the EMA ribbon. It lines up with the Fibonacci support. It lines up with horizontal support. It just makes sense. And I think that this could be a phenomenal opportunity here. I'm looking at a downside risk of about 2% with this stop loss that I'd be putting at about, let's say, 59.2. By the way, I've actually got a video on how to trade Bitcoin in 5 minutes. It's like a super ADHD quick video on how to trade Bitcoin for pretty much for beginners. I think it's interesting. Let me know if you guys actually want to see that. I don't know if I should publish it. Let me know in the comment section as well. I read all of your comments, obviously. I reply to a lot of them too. So I'd love to know. But yeah, if we bring it back here, I think 2% risk here. It's below a lot of the wicks. It's far from perfect. It's very far from perfect. I think a nice stop loss would be all the way down here, but it's almost not trading anymore at that point. It's not worth trading at that point. But, you know, I mean, you can, you know, yeah, there's a lot of different levels you can place the stop loss. For me, I think this is the first level that I would consider. It's not a trade that I'm committed to, but it's definitely something that I'm eyeing up. And I think that, you know, if Bitcoin can come down here, that is a beautiful opportunity to play the upside entry at about 60.5 or maybe even as high as 61. Honestly, I'd have to sit and think about that too, but kind of anywhere in this range is game for me. And then the first real target would be 65, 64.5, something like that. That's about 7% on the upside, and like I said, with about 2% risk, yeah, I could probably pull off 7x leverage, 8x leverage pretty comfortably. So, you know, with 8 times leverage, that's going to be 7 times 8 is 56. That's going to be a 56% profit just to the first target. But obviously, I'm targeting all-time highs and actually significantly higher than that. So an 8x leverage on 20% gain is a 160% profit. So that's good. That's what I'm interested in. That would more than double my money. And definitely something that I would be trading on Bybit or Blowfin as well. So I think that's definitely interesting. I am going to continue to watch this develop before I actually decide to take any of those trades, though, and I will keep you guys updated as much as I can on that as well. But if we do take a look at the upside targets, this is where things get really exciting and fun before we start moving on to altcoins. And I do have a couple of tweets that I want to start talking to you guys about in this in this video today as well. In terms of upside targets, I think it's pretty clear. You know, you got another kind of block of resistance at about $67,000. I'm going to demonstrate it with a box that looks a little bit like this. Right, I think that's going to be a really nice, easy, digestible kind of resistance zone for Bitcoin here. We can actually drag this a little bit lower, and we should probably represent it like that. And then just put a second box up top to kind of mark the end of the range. That's going to be the top of the range, or you could even mark the top of the range as being up here. Both of them would be pretty fair. In fact, the best thing to do would be another box right in the middle, but it just starts looking a bit crowded. So I don't know how different people are going to prefer that. Perhaps we lower the opacity a little bit. But yeah, these are the kind of ranges that I think we're up against next. And that does mean if we can get above 65K, there's another kind of 3.5% move. And again, these 3.5% moves are not interesting, right? I mean, no one's making money off 3.5%. But with the kind of trade that I'd be looking at, if I can get that entry, or even if I were to enter now with a very tight stop loss below the current lows, that 8x means another 30% profit, nearly 28% profit, something like that. If it's a 3.5% move, that's nearly another 30% gain. With that trading style. So that's why these things are interesting to me. Like, I think, obviously in a vacuum alone, considering it alone, it's pretty shit. It's really not even worth paying attention to. But it gets very exciting very quickly. If I'm able to pull off a good trade on that. So I'm going to be looking at that over here. But yeah, nice upside targets there. I think that if we can break 67, we're probably getting up to the all-time high, or close to it. And I just don't, I think things are going to happen very quickly. If Bitcoin can get above 65K, it's literally the exact same perspective that I've had for months at this point. And I think that, yeah, again, it's going to be proven correct if we can continue to kind of hold this posture in the market. And speaking of posture, we have a lot to go through outside of Bitcoin. I want to start with the S&P 500. This is looking beautiful. The S&P 500 has continued to set brand new all-time highs, and it's trading at all-time highs right now, which is absolutely great news for us in the crypto markets. I think that's why we're seeing such good moves in crypto right now. Gold continuing to set all-time highs. My God, what an obvious trade gold has been for a long time. Those of you that have been watching me for a while, shout out to those of you that are subscribed. You're going to know that I've been talking about gold so much on this YouTube channel since way lower price levels. I want to give a massive shout out to everybody that's been paying attention to this channel while we were talking about gold, because as usual, we were 100% spot on with all of that stuff, and that has worked out very, very well for me. Probably has worked out very well for other viewers of this channel as well. Gold continuing to set all-time highs in such an incredible posture. I mean, take a look at just how extreme this move is. This is what you do when you set all-time highs, and we just got the breakout. You know, I don't even think we're anywhere close to punching in a real all-time high and then retracing. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. We might get, you know, retracements, and gold moves slowly, so the retracements might last a long time. But as far as, you know, actually trending up, something that looks a little bit like this, if you ask me, honestly, if you ask me, we're here or we're here. I don't think we're anywhere further than this. I really, really don't. I think that, you know, gold easily has, you know, $3,000 on the horizon, easily, and that's very conservative. I think that, you know, gold can smash through 3,500 and even significantly higher. So gold is looking beautiful. Obviously, that's going to be partly in response to the really, really crazy political landscape across the world right now. We're not going to talk about this in this video, but I do think that's worth considering. And the dollar is holding on. It's holding on. It's not doing amazingly, but it is holding on. And if it is about to collapse here, we could be starting to see big moves coming in for our speculative markets, including the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. Obviously, we've seen the start of interest rates starting to come down. We were talking about that in a recent video. By the way, production quality we've been increasing on this channel lately. By the way, I want to show you this real quick because this is super cool. Check out this video if you haven't seen it already. Secrets I've never told anyone before about inflation. Basically a set of strategies that I'm using to beat inflation. I've got another big video for you coming out about the US election very, very soon, so that's super exciting as well. If you're excited for all of that, do me a favor and smash up those likes. But we have started to see interest rates coming down. This hasn't actually updated, which is really weird, but we have seen it starting to come down, which I think is great news. And if we do take a look at where Ethereum against Bitcoin is, to start getting a look at the altcoin market, we've seen a big drop down to my second out of 3 targets in this market, and we have now bounced up. People are rejoicing over this bounce. They are celebrating this bounce like none of the previous bounces ever happened. They're acting like this wasn't cut short, this wasn't cut short, this wasn't cut short, this wasn't cut short, and this. And this, it's going to get silly. I'm not going to keep on going. Let's go a bit longer just to show you how stupid these people are actually. Look at this. I'm not going to keep saying it because it just gets a bit silly now. But, I mean, look at this. They're acting like these rallies have never been cut short before, and now we're in a new paradigm and it's alt season again. Get the fuck out of here. There's nothing else I can say. You guys are a bunch of fucking degenerates. We're not doing that on this YouTube channel. We're obviously not done. You know, I don't think that that's anytime soon. You know, we're gonna get retracements. We're gonna get recoveries inside of bear markets. That's normal. But you're seeing the exact same usual characters coming out of the woodworks talking about how now they're only 93% down as opposed to being 95% down. Bearing in mind that's a huge percentage gain on the upside, but it doesn't really do anything in terms of recovering your lost money. These people are not to be listened to. You're better off on your own if you even consider what those kind of people talk about. I still think that we've got a fair bit to go for these markets. Now, granted, I'm not amazing at picking market bottoms and tops, but I am pretty good at picking Ethereum market bottoms and tops. I don't know why. It's the first trade I ever made over 7 years ago. Maybe Ethereum and we just got a thing. I don't know. But I don't think that this is done, and I think that this is as typical as it gets in terms of a nice recovery. Maybe it even gets bigger, but a nice recovery that ends up continuing to slide lower. Obviously, there's not that much downside left. You know, we've also got to consider that, right? I mean, from this red line down to here, you get another 20%, and I just don't really see it going lower than that. And even, you know, going lower than this red line, there's just not a whole. I mean, you know, it's topped out in the previous market cycle up at 0.88 BTC per token, and it's now down by 57%. I mean, you know, to recover this, you have to pull off a 127% move, right? So when we talk about it from this perspective, so much damage has been done already that, which obviously everybody that's rejoicing over this, you know, completely didn't see coming. They've been holding on to their altcoins since the very top of the previous market cycle. Perhaps many of you watching this video as well. You know, and so, you know, you really don't want to you really don't want to listen to people who've been holding on during this entire thing here. You know, I mean, the whole cope of like, you know, it's not a loss if it's not a realized thing or whatever. It's ridiculous. And you know, quite frankly, I'm here to make money, ladies and gents. I'm not really here to mess around and you know, like be part of the community or anything like that. I could not bring myself to give a fuck. I just want to make money, you know, and that requires me to be brutally honest and realistic with myself. It requires me to cut losses, and it requires me to maximize winners and stuff like that. And that's the kind of energy that we're bringing here on this YouTube channel. So if you do appreciate that, show this video some love. I would really appreciate that myself as well. Bitcoin dominance has broken out and retraced. It's the exact same chart we just saw with Ethereum, so we don't need to focus on this too much. I have raised my box. Originally, my box was a little bit lower, a little bit more like this. I have now raised it. I think we can get a little bit higher as far as Bitcoin. In fact, I think we can get even higher than 60% dominance, because I just don't think that this is done. I've made my case many times. I firmly believe that Bitcoin's dominance will be strong for as long as Bitcoin is strong, and I don't think Bitcoin is done being strong yet. I don't even think it's started being strong yet, to be honest. I think it's paused for about 7 months now. You know, and I don't think it's even started being strong for its next leg. So I really don't think that Bitcoin's dominance is going to reverse anytime soon. And I definitely think that we could be looking at getting this thing a little bit higher. So that's cool. Making a bit of a longer video today, ladies and gents. It's been a while since I've made a YouTube video. I know that you guys have been kind of reaching out to me asking what's going on, but things have been a little bit busy on my side. But I do want to keep going here. It's a good one so far. We got Plan B, 100 trillion USD up here on Twitter, offering a scenario. For October, we get a classic pump month. That's next month. By the way, next month starts in about 5-6 days. So yeah, welcome to the end of 2024. We get Bitcoin at 70K. Then Trump wins the election and ends Democrats' war on crypto. Bitcoin goes to 100 after the election. December, we get massive ETF inflows. We get 150K. I know you've got the lotion out, ladies and gents, especially the gents. I know you've got that lotion out already. But December, we get to 150K. January, crypto companies and people return to the US. This is where things get a lot more far-fetched, I think. But Bitcoin to 200K. February, power law crew sells. I don't know who that is, but you know, that's a pullback scenario there. March, Bitcoin legal tender in Bhutan, Argentina, and Dubai. It's I don't know if that's going to happen by March, but Dubai does move pretty quickly, so we'll see. Dubai is definitely leading the way for a lot of different things. April, Trump and the U.S. start building strategic Bitcoin reserves. Bitcoin's at 400K. My God, yeah, you've pumped out more of that lotion. Other countries except the EU join the rat race. Look, we're not going to continue with this, but you know. Oh, and by the way, Bitcoin starts getting measured in millions after that. Imagine that. That would be crazy. Look, I don't think that this is realistic at all. You know, I honestly, I don't even think the first couple of things here are realistic. I think that they're too ambitious. I mean, I certainly don't want to comment on what happens in the federal election this year, but because I just really don't know. It's so hard to say, but. You know, I think, look, it's a bullish, I think it's a bullish environment, whether you get Trump or Kamala, right? If you get Trump, you get good policy, things go up. You get Kamala, you get inflation, things go up. So, either way, we're making money. It's kind of a sad way to say it, but either way, we're making money. But I think at the same time, you've got, you know, a lot of hopium here, and I really don't see it happening. But it's cool to hypothesize about, and you know, I mean, the world's been crazy. 2025 could be a big year. I'm not gonna hold my breath for it, but I think it's an interesting perspective here. Stock Money Lizards showing Bitcoin is front running this cycle. We've seen an early all-time high, mainly due to the ETF approval in January 2024, with strong cash inflows early in the year. Current levels align closely with the previous cycle. We are waiting patiently. So if we take a look at this right here, what this is showing us is that it took about 1,080 days to smash the previous all-time high. in 2017 at $20,000. It took 1,080 days to pass that all-time high at the very end of 2020, 1,080 days between the two all-time highs. On this occasion here, 1,080 days hasn't even arrived yet, and we've already broken the all-time high well ahead of schedule. So this is something that we already knew. People are pointing their fingers at different things to explain this. You know, some people are saying ETFs, other people are saying different things. Me personally, I don't think it's any of that. You know, I just think that Bitcoin has had such a ridiculous bear market. You know, and I've said this perspective before, by the way. Oh, hey, by the way, take a look at this. We are out of our descending channel. We'll talk about this in just a minute. But I've said this perspective before. I've been very clear about it. Bitcoin had a really heinous bear market here. You know, it wasn't the biggest bear market in terms of percent, but it was the worst bear market in terms of damage. And a lot of people across the industry, including me, agree on that. Like I said, 7+ years in this space. So I would know a thing or two about bear markets. Not enough. There are people much older than me in terms of experience in this industry who know a hell of a lot more than I do, but they all say the same thing. This was a really bad bear market. And so my hypothesis down here, those of you that were subscribed back then are going to remember this. Let me know in the comment section if you remember this. My hypothesis back here was that because we've had such an extreme downtrend, I actually think that we're going to have an extreme recovery. I wasn't necessarily saying bull market and new all-time highs, but I was saying $30,000 or $40,000 as an aggressive estimate. And to say that down here while you're still trending down, you look like you're a crazy psycho. You know, to say stuff like Bitcoin might go up to 30K or even 40. It just looks ridiculous to say stuff like that on YouTube. I was getting a lot of hate for it, but that's okay. I'm used to that. I always get hate when I'm correct. That's why I don't mind it. It's actually a really good counter signal. But I think that, you know, this makes a lot of sense for the market, in my opinion. You know, we had a really heinous downtrend, and so we had an explosive recovery. But in the midst of that recovery, we had 7 months of consolidation, so that just exploded us even higher. You know, the more you consolidate, the higher you're going to go afterwards. And so this went from a kind of bear market rally to, in this consolidation, it started to turn more into a new market cycle. Because when you consolidate, instead of, you know, what we could have done is we could have done this, right? I want to show this to you because this is really important. We could have just gone ahead and done something like this from this point, right? And that would have actually made a lot of sense, right? We measure this out and replay the chart back to here. You know, there's nothing to suggest that Bitcoin shouldn't have done this. I mean, this is how a downtrend would look. You double from your low, you get up to $30,000. That's a 97% move up, and then you keep ripping lower. That's what should happen in a bear market, right? But it didn't. Oh, what have I done? But it didn't happen because Bitcoin was actually able to, if I replay the chart, it was able to consolidate, okay? And if Bitcoin is able to consolidate, that's a really good sign for you that actually this thing is going to keep ripping higher. And so what we did is we consolidated and we ripped higher to a new all-time high. And then the next thing we did is we just consolidated again. Right? And so you tell me, what do you think is going to, I'm not even bringing bias into this, or, you know, a long bias or a short bias, bullish or bearish. That's not what this conversation is. I'm just laying facts out for you, right? We had a bear market. We started a bear market rally, but that bear market rally turned into something else when we started consolidating. I showed you what the alternative is. The alternative is that you double and then you keep on dropping lower. That didn't happen. We held our lows down here at 25K. We held our highs at 30K, but we were already in an uptrend. So when this thing had to explode, it moved up so much because we consolidated, and now the only thing we've been doing again is consolidating. To me, it's a really obvious picture. It still looks abundantly clear that Bitcoin is going to use this consolidation to explode upward, and I am very much on board with that. Like I said, we're going to talk about this. So if we zoom in on this for just a minute here, we have got such a phenomenal descending channel here on this market. I'm in love with it. It's absolutely beautiful. We've been holding these lows really well. We've been holding the highs very well. We're now trading at the top of it. If we can get out of this thing, I mean, you know, the measured move itself is ridiculous, and it is just, I mean, you know, it's asinine. There's no other word for it. I mean, from the start of this rally, right, to the low that we've just set here, you know, we've got a speculative target of $150,000 if we just pull off the same move. I mean, look, that is everything. That tells me everything I need to know in this market. I mean, you know, that's what happens after consolidation. I think, you know, we've spent a long time at this all-time high, and consolidation behavior at all-time highs is the biggest sign you can get that you're going to explode. Might I remind you exactly how we broke the 2017 all-time high? It was the exact same situation. Bitcoin topped out over here at $20,000, drop a horizontal line, and what did we do over here? We consolidated before we broke out. Now, granted, it was a much smaller consolidation range. This one only lasted about 30 days, but it's the same character traits that we're seeing on Bitcoin repeating. We're seeing them rhyme. We're seeing Bitcoin rhyme with its history. All-time high over here, consolidation, and then explosion, right? Take a look at this. All-time high over here, consolidation, and then explosion. That to me is just what this chart is primed to do right now. That doesn't mean it's going to do it. We've had many situations where we had a beautiful plan which Bitcoin was not able to stick to, but I think that probability is very much on my side as a bull right now. That's why I've been maintaining this position for a very long time in this market. So huge price targets there, and I do think that they're realistic. I just don't know about tweets like this. I just think that this is where it gets a little bit more far-fetched. But great tweet there from Stock Money Lizards. Before we continue on with the tweets, I also want to show you Solana. Solana up here has managed to rally really well off the same $127 level. It's now up by 17% or 19-20% to the high, which is fantastic. It's got a little bit more resistance up ahead in the 160s, but we're not too worried about that right now. And other altcoins, let's just take a quick look at Pepe for a view of the meme coin market, and we do have a nice kind of range bound bit of price action here. If it can break up above, you could be looking at the next rally. I really don't think this is too impressive. I think Tron's continuing to look great. Obviously, I'm still in that same Tron trade. It's the same trades that I've been flexing for a really long time. Just the numbers are much bigger now because I've made a lot more money now. So that's absolutely great. Here's a look at that Tron trade as well. Very early picture. It's now more like 900% profit. This was taken at 300% profit. So, you know, it comes to a point where you just kind of stop counting and you just accept the massive W, and I think that's the point that I reached quite a while ago. But yeah, right there, I think looking pretty damn sweet. Let's continue on with the tweets here. We got Lark Davis saying a face-melting bull run is coming in the next 6 days. This is the kind of sentiment that makes me a little bit scared, right? Like, I mean, I'm not saying this guy's, you know, not smart or anything. He's obviously great in the space, but I just don't like when everyone's saying the same thing. It's dangerous, but he's right, and let's continue reading this. So the face-melting bull run is coming in the next 6 to 8 months. Here's why. Gold prices are at an all-time high. Typically, Bitcoin lags behind gold by a few months. That's true. On top of that, the Fed just cut rates by 50 basis points, with plans for another 50 basis points before the end of 2024. Very bullish, but transition periods for rates are very volatile and not in a good way for speculative markets. There's a lot of data to suggest this, but you can just go back and look at the periods where transitions were happening, and you're actually going to see a lot of instability, a lot of negative instability. So please go back and look at that data. We don't have time for that in this video, but do that in your own time if you're curious, and you should be curious because you got money in these markets. China just announced multiple rate cuts. Countries all over the world are turning the money printer back on. Lots of inflation, lots of things going up. As a result, global liquidity is soaring. The dollar index is crashing. Fresh money is coming into the crypto market. Countries like El Salvador and Bhutan are stacking Bitcoin. Not that any of that matters. Institutions like BlackRock are promoting Bitcoin. State pension funds are buying Bitcoin. Q4 is on the horizon. U.S. presidential elections are coming. No one is bullish enough. I mean, look, you guys have heard my perspective. I reluctantly agree with everything he's written. I just don't like how exciting it looks. If things are exciting, then it means you're already late. That's just my experience. We do have a reading of 59 now on the Fear and Greed Index, which is good. I don't think that's too high. I'm still happy with that. I'm really not too worried about that yet. And here we've got from the 𝐁𝐥𝐨𝐅𝐢𝐧, I've obviously not said that name properly. Correlation between crypto and US stocks are now at 67%, the highest level on record. That means if stocks go up, crypto goes up, that kind of thing. This is only below the 72% seen in Q2 2022, according to Bloomberg. Crypto assets just recorded a second consecutive week of inflows totaling $321 million as risk appetite grows. Inflow into stocks and crypto are skyrocketing. Bitcoin prices are up around 20% over the last 2 weeks, while the S&P 500 continues to set new all-time highs. Crypto markets are a huge beneficiary of the Fed pivot. More of the same, kind of saying what Lark Davis was saying in a little bit more detail about some of the specifics that he was describing. Look, these are all the same ideas that we're very used to in the crypto market now. Everybody's saying them. The market is moving up. Look, I can't see the future, obviously, but everything that I'm seeing is looking great. The fear and greed index is not too high either. I like this, ladies and gents. I think this is a great spot to be, and I'm here for the rest of the ride with you guys. If you have enjoyed this video, you know exactly what to do. Smash up those likes, double check that you're subscribed. Very long video here, 34 minutes, but I'm glad that you have enjoyed it as much as I have if you've made it through to the end. And of course, check out your beautiful offers for tons and tons of free cash when you start trading using my links down below. Dependent on your country's local laws and regulations, don't break your laws. Only use these exchanges if you're allowed to. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.